Okay, so yes, so far we have seen the different types of data, right? We discussed about 5 basic data types: integer, float, string, boolean, and complex. Then we did some little bit operations, right? We just saw how to use arithmetic operators, comparison operators, and logical operators. The basic logic of writing a program is dependent on these things only, okay? So for what do we do for next 25 hours or 30 hours that will be together will be more so on how to make or how to do program efficiently. Okay. That's the objective. But the core, okay, is these things. At heart of the programming is these things. So as part of that, we're also going to talk about conditional statements. Okay. So what is, okay. What is conditional? Conditional statements are you know it does so far we've been doing program in a sequential manner, right? And conditional statements make us to do in different fashion, right? And okay, so you're aware of how SQL works, so it's very similar to that. So let's say, okay, I get average, or we'll start with simple one. So let's say I have a number, okay, and it is 90. I want to see if the number is positive or not, right? So I'll say print number is positive, right? But if this number becomes minus 90, in this case, I don't have to print anything. That's the requirement. So this is where we have to use conditional, isn't it? So if num1 greater than 0, then you say number is positive, otherwise you don't say anything, right? So you can have just one condition, right? Where you're checking if this is so, then do this, otherwise don't do it, okay? So that way. So here I'm checking if number is greater than 90, if sorry, greater than 0. If yes, you say positive, otherwise, okay, ignore it, okay? So when you have only one condition to check, we use only if, okay? If we have two conditions, let's say same thing, I want to check if number is positive or not. So I'll say if num1 greater than 0, number is positive, else print number is not positive. Okay. So now I'll say print number is not positive, right? So in this case, I'll get number is not positive. So when you have two conditions to check, one is actually a condition, another one is a condition, the default condition, right? Default in the sense, if nothing works, then do this. So that's why else does not have a condition with itself, right? So else does not have a condition with itself. It is just to check if if this doesn't work, then do what, right? So that's why we say that it is it's a default condition, okay? And else will never have condition. Else will never have a condition. Okay. Okay. Now, in same case, okay, I want to print if number is positive or negative, right? So in this case, I have two conditions, or rather three conditions. One is greater than 0, less than 0, and equal to 0. So we are going to check for three conditions, okay? So first condition, num1 greater than 0, then you say print number is positive. Now I'm going to check one more condition, elif number 1 is less than 0, then say number is negative, okay? Else you say print it's 0, right? Neither positive nor negative, right? So in this case, if this condition, see, this is a comparison operator. So this is how we are using comparison operator. This is a comparison operator. So when you're writing conditional statements, okay, you have to end up getting a Boolean value. So if will only work, if else will only work when you have Boolean values. Okay, so this is how you use Boolean values, right? So if you have a Boolean values, only then it's going to work. Okay, so so whether so here you write comparison operator, because that's what gives you Boolean value. So this is an example of comparison operator, and we say if this condition becomes true, okay, so it's like if true, then do what is inside if. Okay, if this is not true, then don't go inside this. And how do you know it is inside? With indentation. Indentation tells us that it is inside, right? So far we have not been using indentation. We are using indentation for the first time. Indentation means we are giving a space. How much space should we give? For Python says I'm happy with one space also. We don't have to give more than one. But one space may not look good to the eyes. Okay, may not look good to the eyes. So what we do is we write one more, we give one tab spaces. Okay, so one tab by default is about, I'm going to delete it. One tab is default about 4 spaces. Okay, so generally 4 spaces is set for tab. So we give tab space so that it is clearly visible to our eyes. But Python says any number of space is okay. You give 1 space or 4 spaces or 10 or 20, it doesn't matter to Python. But what it says is, if you have one more statement to write, you have to, you have something else to do after this print, you should start from same place. This is second line of if. Okay, so for the first line you have a choice, but from second line onwards you don't have a choice. Okay, for second line onwards you don't have a choice.
And Swapnil, what is the reason for giving colon here?
Colon indicates the beginning of, it's like end of your statement and beginning of a block.
Okay.
So in a way, in a bad example way, I can tell you this is like your gate. So gate indicates this is beginning of your home, right? So and we'll see in the loop also, we'll see in the classes everywhere, functions. The moment you give colon, it means from now on my block of code is starting.
Okay.
Okay, so its block of code will start from now on. That's what it means. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said, right, first block, first line has you have a choice, but from second line onwards you don't have a choice. Okay. Okay. So so this, okay, so now if you come to the second block, if this is true, then you go inside this, and none of the other statement will be even checked, right? None of the other statements will even be compared or checked. Okay, because you check the first condition, and if it meets, okay, if it is true, it will go in, and that's it. You don't have to check for remaining conditions. The problem is when that becomes false. Okay, in this case line number 7 is false. Now it will check for the next condition. Now it will check for the next condition and next condition. The moment it becomes true, it it will execute and come out of the block, right? So this is what is happening here. Okay, so conditional statements you can achieve using just if you are checking only one condition. If you are checking two conditions, then it is if else. Else is like a default condition. If you have more than two conditions, if you have more than two conditions, then we use elif. So you might have a situation where you are using 10 conditions. So if you have 10 conditions to check, first will be if, last will be else, and in between all will be elif. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's say I'm getting message from office. I just have to see if it is urgent or what. So let's
Okay.
say I have an average. Okay, just a second. Yeah, sorry. We'll just wrap up a little early so that I'll speak to this guy. Yeah. So
Sure.
let's say this average is, let's say, 40. Okay. And the way we want to give grading is, let's say, if average, okay, or we'll just do dot if, right? If average is greater than 90 or greater than equal to 90, let's say we want to assign grade A. Okay. And if it is between 80 to 90, we'll say B. 70 to 80, we'll say C. 60 to 70, we say D, right? 60 to 70, then 50 to 60, E. Okay, and let's say 40 to, purposely I'm creating a lot of this so that we can see how it comes out. 40 to 50, F, and grade failed for less than 40. Okay, so here we have one condition, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So first if, last else, and rest 5 will be elif, right? So to write 5 elifs. Okay, so you begin with if, and you say if avg greater than or equal to 90. Okay, now see, when you have such a large variation of stuff to do, okay, it doesn't make sense to so see, there's one pressure in mind, how many conditions to create, how many loops to generate, and then second pressure is on my or mine to write the logic also, right? So what generally I do is, in a such case, I'll focus only on one thing at a time. Okay, so I'll say just pass here. So when I say pass, okay, that means I'm saying there's nothing to do here, but we'll come back later and we'll do it. Okay, so when you want to leave, when you put this colon, as you said, right, and you say indicating beginning of your home and you have not constructed your home, you will put a passboard saying that, okay, home is not there, it is coming soon, right? Or I don't plan to make any home here, right? Something like that. Because after colon, it will definitely look for next line, which is in with tab. Okay, so you have to give at least one line. Okay, we have to give. So one option is we just say print something, print demo or something, whatever. Or else you say pass, that don't have anything. Okay, I don't have anything here for now or for depending upon the logic, right? Sometimes you might have to just use pass. Okay, so you're saying that I'm not doing anything for now. Then elif avg greater than equal to 80, I'm going to say pass again. Elif avg greater than equal to 70, I'll say pass again. Elif avg greater than equal to 60, right? I'll say pass again. Elif avg greater than equal to 50, I'll say pass again. Elif avg greater than equal to 40, I'll say pass again. And then finally you have else. Okay, so else we can write, we'll say print grade failed. Okay, now we'll take the same, right, and we'll go back and we'll start giving the grading. So this grade is F, here it is E, D, C, B, and let's say A. Okay, so we managed to write this. Now see here, if you get an average of 80, okay, or let's say 70 or 60, now average is more than 90? No, right? So it is false, it comes here. This is also false, comes here. This is also false, right? 60 is not greater than 70, false, comes here. 60 is greater or equal to 60, correct? True. So it goes in, prints grade D, comes out of the entire condition. So that's why it's not going and checking here. So this is also true. But only one condition, okay, will be checked, not more than one. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, only one condition will be checked, not more than one at a given point of time. Okay, so even though the second condition is true, but previous condition has been met, and that's it. Okay, so there is no purpose, there is no need to check or execute anything else. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's how this works, and that's why we don't have to worry about the lower value conditions. Okay, so this has definitely helped us to do our program better, right? Okay. So similarly, now when let's run it and see, okay, grade D, right? And if I make it 80, so it's not A, but definitely we'll get grade B, right? It's not going to go and execute other lines of code. Okay.
Mhm.
So, so that's why what we try to do generally, when you have multiple conditions, we try to combine as minimum conditions as possible. Reason being, if you have multiple conditions, then they're going to check multiple times, right? If they're going to check multiple times, it can create a delay, right? Your program is going to be slow, right? Obviously, if you have less conditions check, your program will be faster. So let's say I add one more condition here. I'm saying print you have passed for all those who got over 40% marks, let's say. Now I have to go and say. So one option is I write another if condition. If avg greater than equal to 40, print you have passed. Right? So in a way, I'm checking greater than 40, okay, here multiple times. Here also I'm checking, right? So, you can write like this, but I just said, right, this unnecessary extra condition. We are anyway checking all these here, then why do you want to do the same work again? Why not club this with previous work? So second option is you go and print everywhere else. Print here, print here. You go and print everywhere. Now that's also not good, right? Because you are you are duplicating the data, right? And the one of the basic rule of SQL, which is true for any kind of programming, is that create single copy of data, right? So tomorrow, if you have to say no, okay, you have to change the text to something else, then you don't know how many places, where else you have to go and change. So instead, what I'll do is, since 40 is the first conditions to check, I will check for, okay, I'll do it here. So I'll check for more than 40. I'll print this, okay, and I'll write else. And for else, I'll put this grade field, right? And I will copy this entire thing and paste it inside 40. So this is called conditional statement, if inside if, nested if. Okay. So in this case, okay, I'm checking if you have passed or not. Right? So in this case, understood, right? If we
Yeah.
have passed, if we have 40, only we are going inside this. Otherwise, we are not even checking. Now we'll have to adjust this here. So elif is the last one. So we can make it as else. Now, why we can make it as else is this condition is, this condition checks only for average more than 40. So you will be inside this only if your average is more than 40. Okay. So anyway, here if you say 50 and then else, definitely means it is between 50 and 40. It doesn't mean less than 40 because you will not enter into this. You will enter into this block only if average is more than 40. So definitely, if so for 50 you got this, and now you can say else easily without any problem, because it is going to be, minimum value is going to be 40 here. So now you are saving one extra conditions from checking, because if your average is not more than 40, then none of these will be checked, right? And if it is more than 40, only then you will check this. So in programming language, we call it as best case scenario, worst case scenario, and average case scenario. So when you develop an algorithm, you have to develop in a way that it is fastest. So worst case scenario is you have to execute all the code. So see, in this case, worst case scenario is when you get anything more than 40. If you get anything more than 40, you'll have to check for 40 also, and you have to check for 90, 80, 70, all these also. But if you get less than 40, that is the best case scenario for this. This entire thing will not be checked, right? So see here. Let's say you get 40, for example, right? Or let's not even 40, 35, right? If you get 35, you're checking one condition, two condition, three condition, four condition, five condition, and then you're getting into elif. So 6 conditions you're checking if the student has got 35%. After checking 6 conditions, you are saying F. Best condition is when you get 90 plus, only one condition you are checking, right? So for this algorithm, best case is one time execution, worst case is n times execution. But in this case, if you see, if you get 35, okay, you're checking one condition and two conditions, that's it. You don't have to check all these conditions, right? Okay, so in a way, so your worst case, okay, is has improved little bit, right? So I mean, we'll not get into details of that. Maybe um, I just wanted you to know about these things. Okay, that generally when we write an algorithm, there are two ways to evaluate. Okay, one way is how how much space it takes, memory space, to run. It's called space complexity. Okay, to evaluate an algorithm, we look at space complexity and time complexity. How much space it takes in the memory and how much time it takes to execute during runtime. Faster the time, better it is. Less memory it takes, faster it is. Now we have all these, uh, you know, GBs of RAM and things like that. But still, if you go to IoT devices, we still, try to use less memory, right? Like the chips, and they cannot have MBs or GBs of memory space. So still, even in with new scenario also, we focus on algorithm with minimum space. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. So coming back to this example. So this is called nested if inside a if. Now let's say there's one more condition that is coming in, that if you get more than 95% marks, you get a president medal, let's say. So you know that this is 90, and if it is possible, if a student is getting, it will be one among these student. Definitely other student will not get. So I can put one more condition here. If average greater than equal to 95, okay, I can say print, you win president's medal, right? Because this is not possible for any other people, any other block conditions. This is possible only if someone has got more than 90. So there could be a chance of someone having it 95% here, right?
Mhm.
Yes. So now if you get average is what? Let me write average again. Average equal to 92, you will get grade A, that's it, right? Now if I make it 96, okay, you win president medal. So you get grade A as well as this. You can have one more condition here inside if it is, if the situation demand, if the business demand, right? Something like this. So if you get 99.1, you know, you get wow, right? So you can have any number of conditions inside another. Okay. So, okay. So this is what I wanted to show you with conditions. Let's, so we have seen positive, negative, right? Now, like, I want to check if a number is odd or even. How do I check if a odd number is odd or even? Right? So if number is say 78, I will divide. If num1, okay, modulo 2, right? You divide by 2. And if remainder is equal to 0, then you say print it's even, right? Okay, if modulo is not 0, obviously it's 1, then you will say it is odd, right? We divide the number by 2 and look for the remainder, right? Okay, so this is how you can check. So after this we'll move to next topic, okay, and then we'll practice programs after doing loops. Okay, after doing loops we'll do few more programs. Okay, here, okay, I have not told how can you. So what did I say? Ultimately here this has to be a Boolean output, isn't it? Now Boolean output will come from your comparison operator, and also it can come from having logical operator, right? So for example, if you want to check if someone is eligible to vote in US or not, right? So what do you have? You have age, right? Age should be more than 18. Let's say this fellow has age equal to 21, and nationality is, let's say, USA, right? So you check for and, right? So just like we check and in SQL, here also you can say if age greater than 21 and nationality equal to USA, then you say eligible to vote. Okay, so how many conditions we have here? 2 conditions. So your time complexity will talk about 2 conditions, not 1 condition. Even though you have only a single if, but you have 2 conditions, right? It's checking and on 2 conditions.
Mhm.
Okay, so you will this is the equivalent of 2 conditions. Okay, okay. So now we'll talk about what is called as loops. Okay, repetition. You repeat something more than once. Okay, so let's say um, I want to print hello, right? And I want to print hello 5 times. So obviously one option is you copy paste 5 times, but that's not the right way, right? We have to use a loop to go over this. So there are 2 types of loops in Python. Okay, one is your for loop. Okay, for loop is used when you know exactly how many times to run the loop. When you know exactly how many times to run the loop, okay, then we use for loop. So you want to print hello 5 times, 10 times, 15 times, 100 times. Okay, so you know exactly, okay, 100 times, 5 times, 10 times. So this is when we use for loop. The second is while loop. Here we don't know how many times, but we know the condition under which need to repeat. Condition under which to repeat the loop. Okay. Condition under which to repeat the loop we know. That's when we use while loop. Okay. To use for loop, we need to understand what range is. Okay. Range is a function that generates range of values. Okay. So if I say range a comma b comma c, I pass 3 parameter. A is the initial value. This is called including. B is your ending value. This is excluding. We don't include B, okay? And then C is your increment. So if I say range 3 comma 9 comma 3, Okay, let's make it a little more than that. Let's say 12. If I say 3 comma 12 comma 3, that means I'm starting from 3 and increment is by 3. So I'm going to increment it by 3s. 3, 6, 9, then 12. But what did we say? 12 is excluding. It is up to 12, not including 12. So 12 will not come. Okay. Same if I do range 3 comma 13 comma 3, that's when you will get 3, 6, 9, 12, and then next 15 is more than 13. So this is the range that generates range of values. So if I want to print hello, I can say for I in range, okay, and I'm just going to do it in a different way today, and then tomorrow I'll show you how to do it in easier way. So I'm going to say 3 comma 13 comma 3. So you know that 13 is going to give only 4 times. So I have to say
Mhm.
16, something like that. Now I'm going to get 5 times. So for I in range 3, 16, 3, and when you run this print hello, okay, hello will run 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to print I, you can print I value. I equal to I. Now, how do we read this? So this for is not one single, syntax we see, right? Okay, the rule, it's not one single syntax. There are multiple syntax here. Range is one syntax. Okay, so we have seen how range works. Okay, so 3, 16, 3 will give values like 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, right? So this is going to give us five, range of values. That's the range. Then you have in is an operator. Okay, so if you just use in, it is to check if the left side value is in right side or not. Left side value is in right side or not. That's the purpose of in operator. But when you write in along with for, okay, so for is saying I, that is the left variable, should take value from the right side variable. If this is left side, then the left side should take value from right side. I will automatically get values from range. So range is generating value. I is an operator which will take and put it in the I, and for will make it take one iteration at a time, one by one. So when you run it now, okay, so you see you get hello, I in I is 3. Hello, I is 6. Hello, I is 9. Hello, I is 12. Hello, I is 15.
Mhm.
Right? So we have printed hello 5 times, and I value is changing from 3 to 15 here. So this is how we can run for loop 5 times. This is one of the ways, okay? So we'll stop here, okay? We'll talk about, these things if you have any questions. I mean, now we'll discuss. Otherwise, we'll continue seeing how we can improve the way range works, right? You don't have to remember every time doing that. There's an easier way to do this. Any questions so far?
No, Swapnil.
Okay.